It's okay. It's over full. You can see it was rewound too loose. You see that? Look how loose it is. Look, feel that. It's way too loose.
It's really loose.
Okay, so we're just gonna fix it. First, what do? We pop these up, all three. Okay, we put it in there. You got it with both hands. Okay, it's in. Focus on the bottom lip first, and then give it space. Give it lots of space.
I won't.
And then focus on the bottom lip. Flip it around. Okay, then there, snap it close when it's in. First note this way. Deal with the bottom first. Deal with the bottom. Deal with this. All the way down.
Yeah, all the way down.
Underneath. Now flip it around and up. And wrap it around the wheel. Now pull this loose. Okay, pull it, and to where you have it. So you have too much. Look on your right hand, you have too much. Here's it on, right? You saw that here? So you just feather it out. Make it like this. Okay. Now you deal with this. Close it up.
That's not
It's
a
okay,
good one.
close it up. Because it's in. Close it. Close it. Tight. Okay, now, because the teeth aren't out, they're in, we can move this. See that? It moves. So we moved it up, and we're going to, there you go, you're set. Start it. And listen and watch.
1 minute.
Listen and watch. It set itself. Let's fix it. It set itself, but it's not going to. This one is, it's got a good fan on it. It's blowing the film out of it. It needs to be behind the gate, not in front of the gate. See that? It's behind the... Go.
The Telenews Weekly and News Review of the Week, presented with the combined facilities of Telenews Productions, International News Service, and International News Photos. In Washington, President Truman hears of a grave crisis in U.S. raw material supply as the Material Supply Commission, headed by William Paley, turns in the results of an 18-month survey. They find increasing shortages and higher costs a threat to American industry. And Mr. Paley tells what this may mean to American security and the standard of living.
The difficult to tell in a few words, but it took us 5 volumes and about 800,000 words to tell my report. But would be very glad to make a few observations. Our nation has crossed the great industrial divide. We used to produce more raw material than we used, and now we are using more than we produce. And this is not a temporary situation. In 1950, we imported 10% of our raw materials at a cost of around $900 million. By 1975, we'll probably be importing about 3 times as much at a cost of $3 billion out of a total of $16 billion. We're speaking here of pre-war dollars. The inferences, we think, are plain. One, we must become much more world-minded in the future. Unless our political and economic thinking faces up to these new facts, we will not have enough materials at low enough cost to keep our economy growing, our standard of living rising, and our military position strong.
This is 80 years ago. 60 years ago.
Syngman Rhee, controversial president of the Republic of Korea, speaks to 6,000 in Busan on the 2nd anniversary of the Korean War. As he speaks, a would-be assassin on the speaker's stand is subdued by police as he is about to fire into the president's back. Near death for Rhee leaves him unperturbed, and national emotions continue to run high over his attempt to take away the Assembly's right to appoint a new president. He's even had opposition jailed in order to keep his job of leading trouble-ridden Korea. More internal trouble in Korea, as 500 supporters of Syngman Rhee surround the legislative building in Busan and lay siege to the National Assembly. This latest outburst in Rhee's bitter fight for re-election comes after the Assembly refuses to take any action on his demands that it dissolve. Backing him up, the mob imprisoned 103 deputies for 5 hours. One deputy is severely beaten as he tries to leave. Finally, police restore order, after first ignoring the Assembly's call for help. It's another violent outbreak in Rhee's campaign to establish direct voting by the people rather than by the Assembly, which opposes his high-handed methods. The worst polio epidemic in Texas history hits Houston, and quick action turns parts of the Jefferson Davis Memorial Hospital into an emergency ward. 35 of the latest model iron lungs are brought in as the number of polio cases in 5 Texas cities continues to climb at an alarming rate. In its all-out fight against the dread disease, Houston has become a major testing ground for new medical weapons aimed at preventing polio. Hundreds of local children have been injected with a new blood medicine, which experts hope will neutralize the polio virus before it causes paralysis. Besides the iron lung, other important equipment includes portable respirators to keep emergency cases alive until major treatment can be started. Dr. Ford McGinnis of the National Foundation comes from Washington to aid in the fight. Although experts still don't know what starts polio epidemics, Houston Sanitation Department takes extra care in disposing of garbage and waste, ideal breeding material for disease-carrying insects. After it is loaded onto trucks, a worker covers the inside of every empty garbage can with an antiseptic spray, a precaution that may save scores of lives. At the city dump, oil is sprayed over the piles of rubbish, and every possible breeding place goes up in flames as the entire dump is set afire. A new anti-polio spray is laid down in residential areas by a city truck. Houston's battle may soon make medical history, and experts watch hopefully their efforts to stamp out the crippling disease. Well, if you can't quite decide between Ike or Taft, Kefauver or Russell, here's a happy solution to your election year confusion. Telenews presents Henry Kajewski, a pig farmer who wants to be president. He's formed his own Poor Man's Party, the very timely slogan, "Let's not be piggy in Washington." His marathon campaign, starting in New York, will end in Chicago, where naturally he'll set up campaign headquarters in the stockyard. Voters of America, I am a candidate on a Poor Man's Party ticket. I want to be a representative of the poor Americans in this country. When I am elected, I would like to have on my cabinet the elder statesman, Warner Baruch, for the Secretary of the State. The Secretary of the Treasury, I would like to have Miss Vivian Kellums from Connecticut. The Secretary of Commerce, I would like to have David Sarnoff. Also, for defense, I would like to have Douglas General MacArthur. Also, Secretary of the Air, I would like to have Charles A. Lindbergh. I promise that when I am elected in 1953 will be a tax-free year for any family earning under $6,000. I also advocate an 18-year-old voter because when boys of America go out and fight for this country at the age of 18, they can go out and vote for us in this country at the age of 18. They're old enough to die, they're old enough to vote. I also promise a national lottery in America. Instead of sending money to foreign countries for their sweet sake, let's keep the money in America. We need it here. Meanwhile in Delaware, the long secret Patton 48, the Army's first wholly new medium tank since the end of World War II, goes through its paces. An 8-foot ditch is no obstacle, and telephone poles are like matchsticks to the 50-ton monster. Now in production in 3 plants, the Patton 48 will be in sizable delivery before the year's end. It mounts a new 90mm high-velocity gun, plus 130 and 250 caliber machine guns. Improved traction makes easy work of rough terrain and deep water holes. Another top fighting machine to strike fear into the enemies of freedom.